What's going on, guys? Back again with another video. Today we're talking about why Lewis Hamilton's 2023 season has gone under the radar, underrated, and a lot of people ain't giving him props, man. Now look, let's just eliminate all our opinions. I know there's a lot of people on Twitter saying, look, you know, Lewis is washed and he's a mid-driver. I think, look, let's just take out all our opinions. You know, he might be a Max fan or an Alonso fan, a Lando fan, you know, a Lewis fan, but we take out on our opinions for a second, right? In the most dominant season we've seen I've witnessed ever, you know, from a team, from a driver, the Red Bulls have been well clear of the whole competition, you know, over the course of the season, especially in the races. And let's just look at the Drivers' Championship, right? Best of the rest, Lewis Hamilton, comfortably best of the rest, you know? I think that goes to show, in some instances, numbers, you know, speak louder, I think, because, you know, the numbers don't lie. You know, they just show what's apparent. I've said it, you know, countless times. You see here, Lewis Hamilton, 234 points, just over 50 points behind Perez. And, you know, that's not even including some of the unluckiness he had during the season. He got DSQ'd in Texas. He got a DNF in Qatar, which sure, you know, was majority his fault. But, you know, it just goes to show how to be that close. I think it really does demonstrate the consistency of Lewis and maximizing the package in what the Mercedes was obviously, you know, over the course of the season, very, you know, inconsistent, quite volatile in performance and peaky. You know, some races it's good, other races it's not, and especially in qualifying, you know, it's really seemed like a handful for Lewis to get his hands on. But even in a season which Lewis, you know, has said hasn't really been his best, he's best of the rest though. You know, in a season which he said himself wasn't, you know, particularly good on his part. He doesn't really think it was the best season, right? He has come third place, comfortably ahead of the rest of the field in what was not comfortably or at all the second fastest car, at least not, you know, comfortably. The Red Bull was definitely fastest. I think Ferrari were probably over the course of the season the second fastest car. Then probably the Mercedes, the McLaren and the Aston Martin. But over the course of the season, there was very few races where the Mercedes was actually second fastest car. You know, we talk about maybe Texas, you know, there's a few races, Australia, you know, where the Mercedes was second fastest, but the majority of the time they were fourth fastest or third fastest, right? And it's just maximizing those performances where you can see Lewis really get the edge on someone like George, right? George is a great driver, but when it just comes to maximizing those performances, I don't think anyone does it better than Lewis. I've got some interesting stats here to go over. In every race that Lewis Hamilton finished, he was in the points. The only other driver to do that was Max Verstappen. And again, it just goes to show, you know, when he's in the race, you know, he does well. He's also got 4 fastest laps. Only Max Verstappen has more than that. I mean, his fastest lap in Mexico was, one had me scratching my head. I'm like, bro, you're on 40 lap older mediums. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what is this? Like, what are we doing here? Over the course of the season, you know, that's where I think the good drivers are separated from the great drivers. You know, George Russell is a good driver, a very good driver, you know, an excellent young talent, and definitely, you know, world championship worthy in the future. But the difference between him and someone like Lewis is the consistency, right? Even when the car's not at its best or when things are against him, he just doesn't quite make the mistakes, right? And I think that all comes down to just experience. He also had 6 podiums over the course of the season. I mean, when you compare that to George Russell, who had only 2 podiums, Lewis actually scored 75% of Mercedes podiums over the course of the 2023 season. Obviously, he had his pole position as well in Hungary. Didn't go too well in the race. Lowest finish was also 9th place. I mean, you look at these stats, they may not seem that impressive, you know, if you're grading it on Lewis Hamilton's achievements, right? He's a 7-time world champion, what, 103 wins, 104 pole positions. This doesn't seem like a lot, but when you actually put that into context, bro, like, it's a big thing. You know, the Mercedes has not been a good car in 2023, and for him to be eking out consistent performances in a car that is far from consistent, you know, it just goes to show how good Lewis Hamilton is. I do think it's quite sad that, you know, when a driver as, you know, accomplished as Lewis is in a car which isn't that good, right? It's kind of, you know, he said it even in an interview, it's a loss, right? Because you haven't got the ability, right, to perform, get the wins because the car hasn't got it. But when you don't win, you know, you get slandered because you're supposed to be winning, right? You've got 7 world championships, you're not winning. Oh, he's washed. Or oh, he's mid now. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, because we're so used to Hamilton winning for so many years, now that he's not winning, a lot of people just think he's rubbed. You know, he's washed out. He's mid now. He's not good enough. And I think when we actually just step back for a second and factor in, you know, the context of everything that's gone on in the season, you know, the car that he's been given, the most dominant year we've ever seen in Formula One, and he's still comfortably P3 in the championship behind the Red Bull. That's got to account for something. You know, when you look at the other way and you remember in 2020, which was probably the most dominant before this year, right? You had Max Verstappen, who done the same thing as Lewis. You know, he was third position behind Bottas, not far off Bottas, the same way Lewis is with Perez. And it just shows, I think, both those drivers, just how good they are, you know, and how good of a match they are against each other. You know, 2 of the best in the sport. Now, over the course of 2023, Hamilton has not been happy with the car. You know, he said on multiple occasions, he just doesn't feel like one with the car. He can't push. You know, he hasn't got the confidence. We know how important confidence is, you know, for a driver, especially in Formula One. You need the confidence to throw the car into the corner. And if you haven't got that confidence, it's very difficult to perform. So it's almost like, it's shocking that he's still able to perform at this level when he's not even comfortable with the car. And the car is not doing what he wants it to do. It's not, you know, Lewis does like a very stable rear end. This rear end on this car is not stable. It's very snappy. It's very, you know, front pointy. It's not exactly what Lewis would like in a car, but he's still able to adapt. And I think that's really what separates him from the rest. I think the top drivers, at least, from the rest, you look at Alonso, Verstappen, Lewis, you know, they're able to adapt to these scenarios, these situations, and perform consistently. I think going into 2024 now that the 2023 season has concluded, and we can look back on the season, I think going into 2024, if, you know, things do get closer, if there's one driver I could count on, one driver I think has the best bets of beating Max Verstappen, I mean, it has to be Lewis, right? 2021 Part 2, I think we all want to see it. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. You know, do you think Lewis Hamilton's season has gone under the radar? Is it underrated? Is it overrated? If you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one, man. We out here, bro.